Hey everyone, welcome to our relationship question and answer video series. I'm Casey and I'm so excited to have you here. Have you ever felt like love advice just doesn't fit your unique situation? Well, you're not alone. We're all about helping you navigate the complexities of love and relationships, but with a twist. Let's face it, relationships are complicated, and what works for someone else might not work for you. And that's totally fine. We're not about dishing out generic advice that might not even apply to your situation. Instead, we want to empower you with the tools to figure things out for yourself. You can check out the related video I'll be sharing in the link for more in-depth guidance. But if you're looking for quick and personalized advice for your specific situation, then this series is perfect for you. So, are you ready to unlock the power of personal growth in love? Let's dive in and explore the world of relationships together. This is episode 1. We start with the first question. What kind of woman do men want? That's a great question that I get asked a lot. You know what? The truth is, every guy out there has his own unique type. But let me tell you something interesting. No matter what type of woman a man thinks he wants, there are two things that all men need. They need to feel love, and they need to feel loved back. It's really that simple. Now, what does this mean for you? Well, instead of trying to become this perfect ideal woman that you think men want, focus on being the best version of you. Here's the thing. When you're the kind of woman who knows how to make a man feel loved and appreciated, he's naturally going to want to stick around. And let me be honest with you. Even if you're exactly his type physically, if you're not nurturing his feelings of love, he's probably going to lose interest and walk away. Listen, it's not about changing your personality or pretending to be someone you're not. It's about being your authentic, amazing self while learning how to show up in ways that make him feel truly loved and valued. Work on your emotional intelligence, learn about healthy dating practices, and always remember this: the right person will love you exactly as you are. Keep focusing on your personal growth, and I promise you, the right relationship will come naturally. Can lost attraction be regained? You know what? I'm going to be real with you. Once attraction has faded, it's not coming back in the same way. Think of it like trying to smooth out a crumpled piece of paper. No matter how hard you try, those creases are always going to be there. It can only be as good as it can be in its new, imperfect state. Listen, I know this isn't what you want to hear, and I'm only saying this because I want to set your expectations straight. I get it. You're hoping for that fairy tale ending. But here's the truth. Relationships only improve if you change and grow as a person. And even then, and this is important, there's no guarantee that the other person will fall in love with you again. You know what's funny? Sometimes improvement doesn't mean what you think it means. Sometimes it means realizing that, hey, this relationship isn't serving you anymore, and it's time to move on. And let me tell you something. When you finally let go, it feels so incredibly liberating. Here's the real deal. A better relationship will come along when you're brave enough to let go of the one that's holding you back. That's what real growth looks like. So instead of trying to recapture something that's already lost, focus on becoming the best version of yourself. Trust me on this one. The right relationship will come along when the time is right. Is there such a thing as loving a little or loving a lot in a relationship? That's an interesting question that many people wonder about. You know what? The truth is, the amount of love you feel for someone isn't something you can just dial up or down like a volume knob. It's really more about how healthy and strong your relationship is. The better things are going between you two, the deeper that love feels. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. But what about those days when I'm super stressed or exhausted? Doesn't that affect how much I love someone? Actually, it doesn't work that way. Think about it like this. If you have a pet cat that you absolutely adore, even on your worst days, that love doesn't just vanish, right? Because your relationship with that cat hasn't changed, your feelings stay the same. But here's something really important you need to understand. Love isn't something that just stays forever without effort. If your relationship gets damaged or neglected, that love can start to fade away. So even if someone loves you deeply right now, you both need to keep working on the relationship. You can't just sit back and expect that love to stay strong forever. You've got to nurture it, like taking care of a beautiful garden. How to transition from little feelings to strong feelings. So, you're wondering how to go from having little feelings to strong feelings in a relationship? Well, let's break it down into two scenarios. First, if you're not even in a relationship yet, the reality is that you can't do anything if he's not taking the initiative to pursue you. If he's not making an effort to get to know you or spend time with you, it's likely because he's just not that interested. And honestly, you shouldn't be interested in someone who doesn't see your value. But if you are already dating and you feel like the affection is low, it's probably because of something you've done in the past that's caused him to lose interest. And let's be real, if a man's feelings for you are low, it's not easy to turn them around. In fact, it's often a sign that he's not that invested in the relationship. The thing is, as a woman of value, you shouldn't accept anything less than strong feelings from someone you're in a relationship with. Settling for low affection is just that, settling. And it's not going to make you happy in the long run. So, what's the best way to deal with this situation? Honestly, it's often best to just filter him out. Low affection is hard to overcome, and even if it does increase, it's unlikely to ever reach the level of strong feelings you deserve. And if you stay in a relationship with someone who doesn't have strong feelings for you, it's only going to lead to more heartache and dependence in the long run. Don't settle for anything less than the love and affection you deserve. You're worth so much more than that. Can you tell me what to do when a man shouts, disrespects, and insults me? You know what? That's actually a really important question. Let me break this down for you. When a guy raises his voice at you or throws insults your way, it's usually a big red flag that shows he's lost his feelings of love for you. And here's the thing. When love isn't there, respect usually goes out the window too. Now I get it. Sometimes guys can be a bit clueless and say things without thinking. If it's just mild stuff, you might want to try setting some boundaries and see how he responds. But listen carefully to what I'm about to say. If a man is consistently using words that really hurt you, and you're choosing to stick around, honey, you're just wasting your precious time. Let me be really honest with you here. When you stay with someone who doesn't show you love or respect, you're basically signing up for a lot of pain. Think about it. You'll spend years, pouring your heart and soul into someone who just doesn't care. And when it all comes crashing down, because trust me, it will, you'll be left picking up the pieces while he just moves on like nothing happened. So here's my advice, and I want you to really hear this. If your man is disrespecting or insulting you, it's time to take a good hard look at your relationship. You deserve so much better than someone who doesn't value you. Your time is precious, and your youth? Well, it's not going to last forever. Don't waste it on someone who can't even show you basic respect. What should we do when we're stuck in an ambiguous relationship? You know what? Let me be straight with you. If you're in a relationship where things are unclear and the guy isn't making any real effort to define things or move forward, there's usually a simple explanation. He's just not that invested. Either his feelings aren't strong enough, or he's simply not interested enough to take action. Listen, as a woman who knows her worth, you shouldn't accept this kind of half-hearted commitment. The solution isn't complicated. You need to walk away. Don't waste your energy trying to have the talk or figure out what's going on in his head. If he wanted to pursue you properly, believe me, he would. Now, here's what happens when you settle for someone who's not fully committed. Trust me, I've seen this play out so many times. First, you might find yourself in situations where you're being taken advantage of physically. Why? Because he knows you're invested while he's not. Then, if you do somehow end up in a relationship, get ready for a roller coaster of disrespect. He might flirt with other women, treat you with indifference, or show other signs of disrespect. And you know why? Because you accepted his lukewarm feelings from the beginning. But here's what really breaks my heart. You'll end up wasting your precious time and energy on a relationship that's going nowhere. Remember, your youth isn't something you can get back. So let me tell you this, and please really hear me. Don't settle for someone who's not completely crazy about you. You deserve someone who's absolutely certain about wanting to be with you. What should I do when love starts to fade in my relationship? You know what? This is such a great question that many people struggle with. When you feel the love fading in your relationship, it's like a warning sign telling you something's not quite right. Think of it like a plant that's not getting enough water. It starts to wither, right? Let me tell you something important. When a man's feelings start to fade, he typically loses that drive to make things work. And this is exactly when you need to step up and take action. I actually have a video about the milestone setting method that can help you figure out where you stand. Make sure to check out that link in the description below. Now here's what happens if you just ignore these signs and keep going without making any changes. And trust me, I've seen this happen way too many times. First, you'll end up investing your precious time and emotions in someone who's already checked out. It's like pouring water into a bucket with holes. It's just not going to fill up, right? Second, and this is really important, your value in his eyes will keep dropping. Why? Because you're accepting less than what you deserve. And finally, this is the tough part. When it all falls apart, and believe me, it will, you'll be left picking up the pieces. The longer you stay, the harder it becomes to walk away. So let me be really clear with you. Don't settle for a relationship that's lost its spark. You deserve someone who's absolutely crazy about you, not someone who's just going through the motions. What should I do when my partner says they love me but never brings up marriage? You know what? This is such a common situation. Let me tell you, there are typically two reasons why this happens. First, he might have some personal issues or barriers holding him back from taking that next step. Or, and this is something you need to hear, his feelings might have started to fade and he's just not feeling motivated to move the relationship forward. Now, if you're in this situation, here's what you need to do. Have an honest, straightforward conversation with him. Ask him directly about his timeline for marriage. If he can't give you a clear answer, well, that tells you something about where his head is at, doesn't it? Listen, I need you to understand something really important. A woman who knows her worth doesn't stick around in a relationship that's not going anywhere. And let me tell you what happens when you do stay, because I've seen this play out so many times. First, you'll end up wasting your precious time and energy on someone who's not fully committed. And honey, your youth? It's not something you can get back. Second, you'll find yourself becoming more and more emotionally dependent on someone who's not as invested as you are. And finally, this is the tough part. When it all falls apart, and trust me, it usually does, you'll be left picking up the pieces while he moves on like nothing happened. Here's something else you need to know. The longer a guy stays in a relationship without taking that next step, the less likely he is to ever do it. He might start feeling trapped by responsibility or habit rather than love. And when it ends, he'll probably jump into something new pretty quickly. My boyfriend just told me we should take some time apart. What should I do? You know what? Let me be straight with you about this. When a guy suggests taking time apart, it's usually not what it seems on the surface. In most cases, this is actually his way of slowly backing out of the relationship. He's trying to be gentle about it, trying not to hurt your feelings, but let's be real. He's already checked out emotionally. Here's something I've noticed after helping many women through similar situations. Guys often use this indirect approach instead of being completely upfront about wanting to end things. Why? Well, they want to avoid seeing you hurt. And honestly, they probably want to avoid feeling guilty too. So they make it sound like it's a mutual decision to take time apart, when in reality, they've already made up their mind about ending the relationship. Think about it. If someone's truly invested in a relationship, would they want to spend time away from you? When a guy suggests this, it's usually because he's not interested in working through whatever issues you might have. He's looking for an exit strategy, not a solution. So what's my advice here? Don't drag this out. If he says he wants time apart, it's better to just end things cleanly right then and there. I know it's tough to hear, but staying in a relationship with someone who's already checked out will only cause you more pain in the long run. You deserve someone who's excited to be with you, not someone who's looking for ways to create distance. It's time to choose yourself and move forward to find someone who truly values having you in their life. Should I date someone who lives far away? You know what? This is a really great question that I get asked quite often. Let me tell you something important. It's not really about the distance itself. It's about how both of you handle the challenges that come with being apart. Here's the thing. When you're in a long-distance relationship, you might feel disconnected sometimes, or things might get a bit boring. I've seen many people get hurt in these situations. But if you both really want to make it work, you need to understand these challenges and be ready to face them together. Now, if you decide to give it a try, here's what you absolutely need to do. Get on the same page about everything. Talk about how often you'll communicate, when you'll talk, and how you'll make time for each other. And listen, video calls are super important. They're way better than texting because you actually get to see each other. You can even make them special. Dress up, have a glass of wine together, or share your favorite music. Here's a sweet idea I love sharing. Try writing each other a letter once a month. It's such a beautiful way to show you care, you know? It shows that you both took the time to really think about each other and put your feelings into words. But here's what's really crucial. And I want you to pay attention to this part. You need to talk about the future. Be honest about how long you're willing to do this because, let's face it, you can't be spontaneous anymore. Everything needs planning. You've got to be strong to handle all those goodbyes, and you need to really trust each other. Because even though you're in a relationship, you're spending most of your time alone, and that's not easy for everyone. At the end of the day, making a long-distance relationship work is really up to you and your partner. You both need to think hard about whether you're ready and willing to put in that extra effort it takes to make it successful. What should you do when your partner has to move far away? This is such a tricky situation, and I want to help you navigate it. Let me break this down into 2 scenarios for you. First, what if your partner has to leave because of something they can't control, like military service, studying abroad, or work? In this case, I want you to do 2 things. Number 1, be realistic and lower your expectations a bit. Because let's face it, long distance is tough. Number 2, sit down together and make a real commitment to keeping your relationship strong despite the distance. But here's where it gets interesting. What if your partner is choosing to leave when they don't really have to? Listen carefully here, because this is important. A woman who knows her worth doesn't accept a long-distance relationship unless it's absolutely necessary, and even then, only for a short time. If he's choosing to leave without a real reason, that's usually a red flag that he's not as invested as you are. Now, if you're in this second situation, you need to use what I call the milestone method to figure out if he's still genuinely interested. This will show you if he's willing to put in the work to make things work despite the distance. Here's something I really want you to remember, and I say this with love. A woman who values herself never wastes time on a relationship that's going nowhere. Trust me, I've seen this happen so many times. If you stay in a dead-end relationship, you'll end up wasting your precious time, your tears, and your energy on someone who doesn't love you enough. You'll become emotionally dependent, and when it ends, because it usually does, you'll be left picking up the pieces. I know this might be hard to hear, but I have to be honest with you. When someone's away for too long, it becomes really easy for them to develop feelings for other people. It's just the reality of the situation. So please, don't waste your time on a relationship that's not going anywhere. You deserve so much better than that. That's all for today's Q&A. Thank you for joining me today, and I'll be back with more relationship insights in our next episode. If you found this helpful, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who might need this advice. Leave your questions in the comments below, and they might be featured in our next Q&A. Until then, take care.